Yeah, hey everybody. Okay, so in addition to criticizing miracles, David Hume will also criticize the existence of God. Okay, so here's how he did this. So during Hume's time, during the 1700s, a lot of people said that the world, was designed, that it had a designer. Okay, look out at the world, it's pretty complicated, right? Well, it must have had a designer. Okay, so just as you would walk out into the desert, and if you started digging, you might find an ancient civilization. Okay, it has art, it has religious statuary, it has fire pits with complex tools that were used for hunting. We would never say that this has happened by chance, right? That it has happened by itself over millions of years. We would say that this civilization, in all likelihood, had a designer or designers, right? Okay, well, if you walked into a rainforest and you saw a ticking watch on a mossy log, you would probably reasonably conclude that the watch had a designer, right? After all, you open up the watch and there's all this, sophisticated machinery, okay, the gears, the hands, the interlocking of things, okay? You would conclude that this watch had a designer or a designer, okay? Well, look out at our world. Our world's pretty complex, right? So if, the city and the watch need a designer or designers, how much more would our world, which is infinitely more complex than the city or the watch, how much more would our world need a designer? Okay. So, long story short, a lot of people in Hume's day said that this God was, the God of the Bible, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that the French philosopher Pascal talked about. Okay. Well, maybe that's true, but our world is also compatible with other models of God, and even with no God, Hume says. Okay, so long story short, look out at the world, look at something like the human eye. Well, the eye is defective, or at least it can be, right? Sometimes people need glasses to correct their vision. Sometimes people are born blind. Does this look like something that was designed by an all-good, all-powerful, all-knowing God? The God of the Bible, as this God is sometimes conceived, all good, all knowing, and all powerful. Okay? Well, Hume would say no. It's more likely that this world was designed by an apprentice God, who hadn't had much experience creating worlds. And, after he created ours, he realized he had botched some things up and then abandoned the darn thing, right? There's a lot that's wrong out there, or that appears to be wrong and doesn't seem to be compatible with a God who is all good, all knowing, and all powerful. Okay? Hume is also going to say that this world is compatible with polytheism, with many gods, right? Because after all, it takes many people to build a civilization. It takes many people to build a watch down the assembly line. So likewise, if those things need designers, well, our world may have needed designers, plural. And so we get into paganism. We get into Greek polytheism. Okay, our world could have been created by many gods. Okay, and finally, it could be the case that the world has no God, that the world is just kind of like this organic thing that grows on its own, over lots of time, and under the right circumstances, you might get something like this, that's flawed in certain ways, and that would explain the flaws, because there is no divine intelligence behind things to make them unflawed, or as least flawed as possible. Okay, so whether it's a limited God like an apprentice God, or a child God, or it's many gods or no God, Hume is going to say that the world that we see, even if there is a God, it doesn't necessarily follow that it's the God of traditional theism, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as Pascal would call it, the God of the Bible, who's omni this and omni that, and ... Okay, so these views would get Hume into trouble during his day, because it was very unpopular to think these thoughts, and he couldn't get a good university position because of these thoughts about God, which disturb many people. Okay, but that's what philosophers do. They ask questions and they disturb people. So for better or worse, that's how it is. All right, everybody have a good one. Hang in there, and we'll talk soon. Over and out.